Good evening, guys. It's Marshall here, and it's another week, another Monday. Today, I'm going to talk about a concept called we both matter. Now, in codependency, especially in abuse, things are often turned into a black and white, all or nothing, either or situation. And this is most apparent when it comes into conflict, it comes into problems in a relationship, it comes into the challenge of getting mutual needs met and looking at like limited resources, time, emotional availability, things of that nature. And this idea of either orness that happens in traumatic dynamics or depleted dynamics, like deficient systems, the parent isn't fully available or the partner or friend are not fully emotionally available, creates a competition between the people in the relationship over whatever resources might exist at the time. This competition undermines intimacy and trust, and it creates fights and friction and control dynamics that happen. And codependency is a control dynamic. Abuse is a control dynamic. And when we want to go beyond codependency, we want to go beyond the abuse and the conditioning we have about our needs, we need to look at an inclusive point of view called we both matter. When my needs matter and your needs matter, and we trust that each other's needs matter, then we can build intimacy, we can build connection, and we can work together to understand each other and then fulfill each other. Now, sometimes that means negotiation, compromise, cooperation, so that we can, manage. Usually, it's time and money and energy that are the three factors that come into cooperation or creating a compromise, because those are the limited resources we deal with, right? So, but the premise here is that we both matter, and that is built on a fundamental assumption in relationships. And in my relationship model, the way I see relationships, there's one fundamental assumption. And if that assumption doesn't exist as a fact in the relationship, it's not a relationship. And it's this assumption, it's this factor. All right, I call it a governing value, or factor probably be a better term. And it's I care about how you feel. If both people care about how each other feel, then we can build understanding, which creates cooperation, which creates mutual results and a level of satisfaction, intimacy, and trust. This is how we both matter works. So an example, like from my own life. So I have an avoidant and anxious attachment style. So when I am bonding or connecting with someone that I'm interested in, or deepening a relationship with someone, that's going to kick up. I'm going to want to pull away, but I'm also going to want to pull close, right? And so I have two specific needs in that. I need reassurance about my value in the relationship, and I need reassurance that my individuality isn't going to be swallowed up whole and absorbed into them. I can still be myself and be connected. Well, let's say the individual I'm connecting with is just anxious and they've got a lot of complex things going on. Well, okay, now I can, in my understanding, my appreciation about their needs, respond to that proactively too by saying, yeah, I get, we're both anxious in this. We're both a little scared about whatever is going on in this. That is we both matter in action. This is how it works to build positive and powerful intimacy. So it's not about I'm wrong and you're right, or well, what am I going to get out of this? No, it's about, hey, we're both dealing with something intense right now, or both have this need going on. They may be different needs, but if I can acknowledge and respect that that need exists in you and you can do that in me, then we can build the pathway forward. So when you're dealing with a conflict in your life, you're facing something that's very intense for you, or it's some sort of challenge, go towards we both matter first. Consider your needs as equal to theirs, because that's a right you have. Because codependency would say our needs don't matter at all, right? And in Thriving Beyond It, our needs matter too, and they matter equally. They are just as valid as their needs. And if they're approaching it from the same way, they're going to value how you feel in inclusion with how they feel, not despite how they feel, but it's more like, I'm scared. Oh, and you're scared too. Oh, this is uncomfortable. Well, that's uncomfortable to me too. Okay. And they could even be indifference. Like, oh, well, I don't agree with that, but I can understand where you're coming from. I'm going to appreciate the need that you're anticipating getting fulfilled with this choice, and then try to relate to you on that foundation. Because once, really fundamentally, all we want is to be understood. We want to be seen. We want to be valued for what we feel and what we need and what we want. That's all. And that's what We Both Matter really accomplishes. If we're willing to slow down, if we're willing to listen, and we're willing to acknowledge what we feel. We don't have to deny it. We don't have to brush it aside. We can go, hey, yeah, this is uncomfortable to me. Can we change this? Well, sure. And now maybe I feel like I'm not getting something I want. Okay, now let's talk about what you want or need there. So, hi, Connie. Yeah, it is. It's really, really powerful, and it's very, very important to building that fundamental intimacy that really creates the expansion for us to be ourselves while in a connected, stable state. A lot of this deals with attachment styles and attachment injury, because I'm starting my love addiction to connection course tomorrow, and so attachment is fundamental to my model of healing love addiction, fundamental to really healing codependency by taking shame out of the governing value and replacing it with love. And so, yeah, and this is one of those principles that guide healthy relationships, so we can have a stable trust and a stable, mature bond with each other, where I can be me, you can be you, and we can be we. We can accomplish that together. So there you go. That's tonight's topic. I want you to think about that. If you find yourself struggling in conflict, you're not getting your needs met, you need to look at how you are advocating for yourself or how you're not advocating for yourself. You got to look at the safety value, what the level of safety is in the relationship, to be vulnerable with the needs that scare us. And for me, one of my biggest needs that scare me is asking for help, because growing up, asking for help equaled punishment. It equaled criticism. It equaled, for me, abandonment. They're like, oh, you'll figure it out yourself. You're smart, Marshall. And then I would, and they'd be like, look at you. We're so proud of you for figuring out your own problem. I'm 12 years old. I'm dealing with things that I should have support. And fundamentally, I think we all should have support regardless of our age, because that would be interdependence. That would be a strong mutual attachment that's supportive. So yeah, you got to look at the trust value. See if, depending on how they behave, are they trustworthy? And if they are, give them the opportunity to see you in that space. Allow yourself to truly be seen and valued there, because that's the only way you're going to build fundamental intimacy and trust. It's the only way you're going to achieve stable or secure attachment, is by being seen where you're at as you are, not as an idealized version of yourself out there in the world that's trying to be perfect, is being the real you. And that's how we get past perfectionism. That's how we get past codependent coping, like I'm fine, I don't have any problems, let me focus on yours, or passive aggressive approaches about our needs. And it's a fundamentally powerful test for the quality of a relationship. Because again, this stuff should be happening in the dating experience. So when you get to a committed experience, you're not surprised. If we're doing this right up front, we win. Because then suddenly it's like, oh, well, you don't really give a shit about my needs because of these behaviors. I can move on, rather than, hoping they'll change and then getting blindsided when we're committed and everything's like, shit, what's going on? No, we get to find out up front that value, and then we can respect it. And then if they're really receptive that way, then we got a great place to build a relationship from. And if they're not, we got a great place to end a relationship and move on in our lives. So, yeah, there you go. Check out the trust, build trust. If you have questions about trust, check out the Bravey model from Brene Brown. I use that model in my own mentorship and coaching materials. And I'll post a link to my little guide on that. And if you struggle with codependency, you struggle with attachment anxiety, you struggle with feeling your own value in a relationship, check out the Codependency Confidence System, because that is what I take my clients through to restore love back into their governing value by removing shame and then helping them discover who they are. I have a 98% success rate in that system. It's pretty cool to watch it happen, especially with the self-guided versions and watching people change their lives. So I'll post a link to that in a bit. Thank you guys for showing up. Thank you for the comments, Connie and Connie, actually. Double Connies. And appreciate your support. And you guys have a great evening. I'll be back tomorrow with some more awesome material. I don't know what the topic will be, so we'll find out. Okay. Thank you guys. Have a good night.